unexpected NBA players that helped their team win the game. Back in June of 2013, the Miami Heat were facing off against the San Antonio Spurs in the NBA Finals, and everyone was expecting the Heat's Big Three to dominate since they had just come off a 66-win season and looked nearly unstoppable. The Spurs, meanwhile, were known for their stars like Tim Duncan and Tony Parker, but they also had a bunch of role players who most casual fans barely even noticed, and one of those guys was Gary Neal, who had actually gone undrafted and spent years playing overseas before finally getting his shot in the NBA. But what happened next is honestly the kind of thing you almost never see in a finals game. You see, the Heat were so focused on stopping the Spurs' main guys that they kept sending double teams at Tony Parker and Tim Duncan, which meant guys like Gary Neal were getting left wide open on the perimeter. So Gary Neal, who was usually just a backup guard, suddenly found himself with more space than he had ever seen in his life, and he started letting it fly from deep. And while the Heat's defense kept collapsing in the paint, Neal just kept getting the ball and knocking down three after three. But the way Neal took over the game is actually wild when you realize how little he had played in the playoffs before this. The thing is, Gary Neal had barely gotten any minutes in the earlier rounds, but in Game 3 of the finals, he caught fire and ended up scoring 24 points, which was not just a career high for him in the playoffs, but also made him the second leading scorer for the entire game, right behind his teammate Danny Green. And the Spurs ended up blowing out Miami by 36 points,